I should have seen it coming. Khamzat Chimaev dominates Dricus du Plessis over 5 rounds. Khamzat Chimaev is the new champion of the world. Dricus couldn't land a single strike. It seemed like he didn't land one strike in the first 3 rounds. Apparently he landed one strike, but I didn't see it. And Khamzat just wet blanketed him all 5 rounds and dominated him, and Dricus couldn't do anything about it. And the reason I say I should have seen it coming is because before the Robert Whittaker fight, Dricus du Plessis' coach was so overly confident that Robert was going to beat Khamzat, and he was overlooking Khamzat so much, and I'm like telling to myself, I'm sure Khamzat really is something special with the wrestling, and he really will probably dominate Robert. And I picked Khamzat to beat Robert Whittaker, but after Khamzat beat Robert Whittaker, I thought, oh, I hoped that that would be a strong enough lesson for Morn Visser that no, this isn't some hype train or just a guy with very good wrestling that's being hyped up to being amazing wrestling. No, he really is amazing, and this is a red alert. Pay attention carefully. I don't know if you can do anything about it, but Dricus seems like he went from losing to Strickland 49-46 in my opinion to beating him 50-45. So I'm thinking maybe he can do something special with the wrestling as well, because he has crazy coaching methods, or like extreme coaching methods with what do you call it? The thing that policemen are used to, not buzzer, used to like stun criminals. I forgot the word. So I thought maybe he can do something with the wrestling with that as well, but apparently not. And yeah, like the coach was talking so much about the Gilbert Burns and Usman fight and like hyper focused on that. But I'm like, man, I hope they don't use that. His coach doesn't use that as an excuse to have in his mind or and in their spirit that no, Hamza's wrestling isn't that good. We just do our own thing. When he was saying we were just gonna do our own thing, I was hoping that like they were like talking as if they didn't prepare for the wrestling that much, when in reality they were being pinpoint perfect behind the scenes. But no, I guess not. Because with the Gilbert Burns fight, it seemed like it wasn't Hamza's decision to not wrestle with Gilbert Burns. It was because his coach ordered him not to wrestle with Gilbert Burns. And if Hamza wrestled with Gilbert Burns, he could have dominated just as much. I know apparently he has a submission threat, but he didn't have that many submissions in the UFC. So I think if Hamza just went in to do what he wanted with Gilbert Burns, maybe he would have gotten just as dominant a victory or even a submission over Gilbert Burns. So I was worried that Morn Visser was reading too much into that. And the Usman fight, yeah, he controlled Usman for the first round, but then the second and third, like he stopped going for the takedowns. Like, could Khamzat have gone for the takedowns in the second and third round as well, or did he just actively decide inside of himself that he's going to strike, and that's why it was a striking fight in the second, mostly a striking. He did take Usman down in the second and third as well, but it was mostly a striking fight. So was that a conscious decision by Khamzat, and in reality he could have wrestled even more in the second and third rounds with Usman, or what do I say? Or was he just too tired and that's why he stood and struck? And or was it because he couldn't take Usman down, because Usman's wrestling was great enough to be able to neutralize Khamzat enough that Khamzat said, you know what, I'm going to strike with him. And with Dricus, his wrestling isn't that good, and so he wasn't able to neutralize him. So I don't know. And in my mind, like the Afrikaner mindset, they're like very hardworking people like super hard working, so I was banking on. So yeah, for the disclaimer, I thought Dricus was gonna win, and but I guess even though they're super hard working, there's something in their brain that overlooks danger, and so when they watching Khamzat's previous fights, they like were overlooking too much that the wrestling really is something special. But wow, Khamzat Chimaev is the new middleweight champion of the UFC. Dominant 5-0 victory, like 50-44 in all three judge scorecards. He had a 10-8 round. And Mark Goddard was even giving Dricus like a couple of chances, like getting Khamzat and Dricus back on the feet to be like, all right, Dricus, I'll throw a few bones at you. Let's see if you can do something. And Dricus failed to capitalize. Like there was at one point Dricus got on top of Khamzat, but he tried for the guillotine and he didn't get it, and that was it. Like finally, Dricus, like in the first 3 rounds, Dricus didn't land any strikes. Finally, in the fourth or fifth, because Mark Goddard let him up a few times, he landed like a couple, and then Khamzat resorted back to the wrestling again and dominated. But yeah, that was an amazing performance by Khamzat. Like, who can beat him? Like, how would Anthony Hernandez deal with him? How would Cal Baralho, Nasruddin Imavov, how would they deal with him? How would Randy the Ritter? How would Bo Nickel deal with him? But yeah. But the card also had some other amazing fights. We had 2 spinning elbow knockouts back to back. First, it was with Carlos Prates versus Jeff Neal. It was a good fight. Carlos and Jeff were landing strikes on each other. Jeff showed some good movement. He looked like he was on point to avoid and evade Carlos Prates' danger, and landed a couple of good shots off on his own. But in the final second of the first round, Carlos Prates got the knockout. And in the fight after that, so amazing performance by Carlos Prates, back on form. I've heard people saying just how good is Ian Gary, and yeah, he did look amazing versus Carlos Prates. And after that, we had, Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. And Aaron Pico came out strong. He came out like a force of nature, imposing his will, imposing his wrestling, imposing his striking, landing good strikes on Lerone, controlling him on the ground. And it looked like, all the people underestimating Aaron Pico, all the MMA YouTubers were about to be proven wrong. But because Aaron Pico was so going after it, at one point, Aaron Pico marched towards Lerone Murphy and he just did a spinning elbow attack and knocked out Aaron Pico out stiff. Amazing elbow KO by Lerone Murphy. He needed this. He was technically great in all his previous fights, undefeated, but he didn't have like an amazing finish or amazing knockout. This is the finish he needed to make a statement so he can fight Volkanovski. And man, it was a brilliant night of fights. I loved it. I was hoping Dricus would win the main event, but man, Khamzat is something crazy. Yeah. Like and subscribe.